Hey YouTube, it's Joe here. I was hanging out in my game room, which if I'm being honest, I pretty much hang out in all day because it's also where I work. But I was thinking maybe I should do a quick update on one of my collections, and that would be GameCube. We're going to do a quick update on what I've got in my GameCube collection. I think the last time I did one of these updates was like 2 years ago, 2020 maybe, and it has grown significantly since then. So let's do a quick update and show you what's new. So starting off in the corner of my room here is where the GameCube collection begins. You know, just looking at this video after the fact, I know that things have already changed. It's an ever evolving collection, and it's hard to keep exactly up to date on everything that changes, from day to day. I'm constantly looking for new GameCube games. It's the thing I collect the most. So what you see here is probably already different. And the first one I'm picking out there is Alien Hominid, because that one's a little less common. Some other ones on that shelf, I got the 007 games, 1080 Avalanche, some other common kind of sports titles there. You see 18-wheeler. Animal Crossing is probably going to be the biggest one of note. They're next to Alien Hominid. And then, I have all the Army Men games there. And then you see Automodellista. That one's a little harder to come by. It's pretty cool to have that in my collection. BMX Triple X is another one that is fairly uncommon, a little more expensive. Of the games on that shelf, I mean, I'd say that those ones that I picked out are pretty much the most uncommon. Barnyard is surprisingly not cheap. Baten Kaitos, I've had that one for a while. That second one took me a little bit longer to get, the Baten Kaitos Origins. I don't know if that's the order they came out, but that's the order that I ended up getting them. Some of the Batman games there. I do have one that's not on that shelf. That'll probably come up a little later in the video here. But Battalion Wars, Beyblade. Beyond Good and Evil is a good one there as well. Billy Hatcher is a tougher to get game. It's not, I don't know that it's crested the $100 mark, but it's getting up there. And for the longest time, I had that game without the manual. It took me a while to track that down. Some other games, Blood Omen, that Blood Rain, I think, and the reason I wanted to look at that one more is because it's a really crisp, clean copy. Bloody Roar. Blowout, a couple Bomberman games, gotta have the Bratz games, and then Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a little less of a common game there. And then moving down to the next shelf, you got some Call of Duty games at Capcom versus SNK EO is a good one. There, Carmen Sandiego, Cars, Cell Damage is a little less common. Chaos Field is a little bit more of an expensive game. And some more commons, and get to Chibi Robo. That one's pretty famously expensive for GameCube. The copy that I have, I bought, back when I first kind of was getting into GameCube. I just bought it on a whim. City Racer, a little less common as well. And some more commons in that section there. Cubics, maybe a little less common. Curious George, you gotta have Curious George. Custom Robo is a pretty interesting game. There's a Dance Dance Revolution Mario mix there. The first couple on this shelf are a little more common. Def Jam Fight for New York is a little bit harder to get. Digimon World 4 is also kind of expensive. Got a couple of the Donkey Kong games, Donkey Konga and Donkey Konga 2. Dr. Muto, that one's a little bit harder to get on GameCube. That Dragon's Lair 3D, I remember I got that from a convention, and I thought it was complete, but it wasn't. The Evolution Worlds there is like a new old stock. It's a sealed game. F-Zero GX is a pretty great game. One of the better GameCube games in my opinion. Got some sports stuff. Both of the Fairly Odd Parents games, I think one was a little harder to get than the other. Some more common stuff. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Next up, that's fantastic game. Expensive, hard to get, all that good stuff. Had it in my collection for a while. I got all 3 of the Frogger games. You gotta have those in your collection as well. Gauntlet Dark Legacy. That's another one that I've had since back in the early days, and just hung on to it all this time. Geist is a unique game for GameCube. It's kind of unlike anything else. You can possess different things. You're like a ghost, and it's kind of a shooter as well. So very unique in that regard. And then, at the end of the shelf, just some commons, Tom Clancy, Ghost Recon games there. And then moving on, we have Gladius is not super uncommon. Goblin Commander is a little less common. The cool thing about that copy is it's got the KB Toys sticker on it, 1999. Godzilla is cool as well. And then some more, fairly common games. The one of note there is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That's probably the least common Harry Potter game, the most expensive one. Got all the Harvest Moons, Hello Kitty, Roller Rescue. Gotta love that. Some more common stuff, the Hot Wheels games. I think I might be missing one, I'm not sure on that. But Ikaruga is a great shooter for the GameCube. It's a good one to have in a collection. All the Jimmy Neutron games, and that Judge Dredd. I had a hard time finding that one complete. I think I had to piece it together. Killer 7's there as well. That's a good game. Kind of a unique one too. Not unique to the GameCube, but a little harder to get on the GameCube. Kirby Air Ride is a first party game. It's a good one for GameCube as well. Some more, I think, in this part, we're just looking at the Spyro game there, and back to the whole question of alphabetization. That word is impossible for me to say. That's the Legend of Spyro, and I think the other ones start with Spyro, so they would be under the S's. And then moving on though, we have Lord of the Rings games, and then the Lost Kingdoms 1 and 2. One was a little easier to come by than the second one. I had a harder time tracking that one down. Lotus Challenge is a little less common of a game, and then Luigi's Mansion is a timeless classic on the GameCube. Then we get in all the Madden stuff, and you gotta have that if you're trying to get a complete collection. And then, from there you move into the Mario games for GameCube. Disney's Magical Mirror, I guess. That's like the one Disney game that I have, so I have to get all the Disney sports games yet. But back to the Mario games, Toadstool Tour was probably like my most played Mario sports game. I do like Double Dash quite a bit too as far as Mario Kart goes. I used to have the one with the bonus disc, but I traded that away years ago. All the Mario Party games. Mario Stars, Superstar Baseball there. Some more commons. Got Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 there. That's a good one. Metabots Infinity. That's a little less common. Got the Mega Man games. That Men in Black. I remember I got that from a store closing. It was a great retro store, and it's sad to see it close, but I got some good deals as it was closing. Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes is a great game on the GameCube, a little harder to find, and I think mine doesn't really have the correct paint on the discs, but I don't remember for sure. Metroid games, I have Metroid Prime 1 and 2 there, and then the third one is actually just the one that has the bonus disc in it. And then you get to the Midway Arcade Treasures. I believe all of those now. For a while I didn't really know that there was a Midway Arcade Treasures 1. So I had the Midway Arcade Treasures, and then 2 and 3, and then later added Midway Arcade Treasures 1 when I found out that was a thing. So it's just part of collecting. You know, you find out these things and then you have to have them because you got to have a complete collection. So just some more common stuff here. And then you move into Mortal Kombat. Deception is a little less common, a little more expensive there. And of course, Muppets Party Cruise is important too, but those rest of those are common games. And then NBA games, NCAA, missing the really expensive NCAA game. I think it's it might be basketball 2K3. I can't remember. There's a really expensive one in there I don't have. Namco Museums. I got all the Need for Speed games. There's 5 of them on GameCube for some reason, but I have them all. Some of the Nickelodeon games. I got that GameCube preview disc, that Piano 3, or product number 3, whatever it's called. Had a hard time getting that one complete. I had it incomplete for the longest time and finally tracked down the manual for it. And then coming up next with the Pac-Man games on GameCube. I know I'm missing Pac-Man World 3, but I think I have the rest. And, you know, that one I'm pulling out there in the sleeve is actually Pac-Man Versus, which is funny is that game is actually like packaged in with other games in a couple of cases. Like I have that dual pack with Pac-Man World. I have that one in the sleeve, and then I think there's actually another game. I think it's R Racing Revolution, yeah, or Evolution. That one also came with that game, so I have like 3 copies of it. And if there's another one that comes in a regular GameCube case, I would for sure track that down and buy it, because you gotta have everything. It's part of the sickness, right? So anyway, there's Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door. I have the Player's Choice copy. I don't really care too much about that, but Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2. It's not the Plus version. I don't have that version. I don't know if I'm going to get that sort of variant of it, but I may if I get towards the end. Phantasy Star Online 3 Card Revolution. That is a new sealed game as well. Pikmin games are great. So I have 1 and 2 on the GameCube. The second one's a little harder to come by. That Pokemon channel at the time I was filming, that's pretty new to me. And then I had Coliseum and Gale of Darkness there too. Those are getting up there in price. Then moving on, already talked about that R Racing one. Some more common stuff. That Rave Master is fairly uncommon. It's not super expensive, but harder to get. The Resident Evil games on GameCube. A couple of them are fairly cheap, like the first one, Resident Evil 4 and 0. Cheap and easy to get. The other ones, not so much. Yeah, you have to pay a little bit for those. That Roadkill at the time I was filming was, I believe, my only incomplete game in my collection, but I have since completed it. Spoiler alert. The SSX games are great. Got all 3 of the Scooby-Doo games. You gotta have those. And all of the Shrek games I believe I own now. Some of those are harder to come by. Skies of Arcadia Legends. I've had that in my collection for a while. Happy to have that one. It's a hard one to get. A bunch of Sonic games there, and then some more common stuff towards the end. Spirits and Spells, the next big one there. That one's a tough one to get as well. I was super happy to find that at a convention for a decent price. All the SpongeBob games. There's, yes, 5 of those on the GameCube, so you have to have every one of them if you want to be a fancy collector. So here's the Spyro games, like I was referring to before. Those are not with the other Spyro game because of alphabetization. I'll get it right sooner or later. And then the Super Mario Strikers and Sunshine, Smash Brothers, the Monkey Ball games there. The Superman one, I had a hard time getting that one complete as well. I had it loose for a while and then found it complete. Turtles games, I'm trying to get all those. I think I need 2 more maybe. And then some more common stuff. That Terminator 3 was a little less common, a little harder to track down. came across it a couple times incomplete, and then found it at the right price. The Sims games, I think since I filmed this, I actually have completed that collection. Time Splitters, Future Perfect, and Time Splitters 2. Future Perfect's a little harder to come by. That Tom and Jerry is relatively uncommon too. It's not super expensive, but kind of hard to find. You're definitely going to have trouble finding it in a game store. Ultimate Muscle, that's a good one to have too. I remember coming across that in my local game store. Got some of the Beautiful Joe games, those are cool. And that Virtual Quest was one I hadn't seen ever, and then I was at the game store and it was sitting there on the shelf, so I had to get it. Wario World, super fun game, kind of underrated, I think, because it's fairly short. You know, people don't really give it much attention. And then down here I have both the Zatch Bell games. The one in the plastic case is the less common of the two. And then I have all the Zelda games. And then, you know, as I was referring to before, I did have Batman Rise of Sun Tzu in the big box and Odama. And then this is just some overflow, you know, doubles, manuals, stuff like that. So now let's take a look at some of the hardware and accessories that I have for GameCube. First off here is the Eon GCHD adapter. It has two ports on it. One plugs into the digital, that's the one that actually does something. The other one's kind of a dummy port. It plugs into the analog port on your GameCube, and then it has HDMI out and allows you to play your GameCube in progressive scan mode. This is the GameCube broadband adapter, and it plugs into the bottom of your GameCube. There's a port on the bottom that lets you plug it in and allows you to do broadband Ethernet with your GameCube. This is kind of my modded GameCube. It's not in as good shape as my other one, but it came with a bad disk drive, so I upgraded it with an SD card reader. And then it has the interface on the bottom that lets you put an SD card into it so you can save settings and things like that. This one, the Indigo one, is my OG GameCube. It's the first one I bought back when the GameCube came out. It's all stock. It's got the Game Boy Player disc in it. That port cover is missing because I usually have the Game Boy Player attached to it. It's also got the Wi-Fi dongle on it for the Wavebird. This is a Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix big box set. I think it's mostly complete. I have the game, you know, on the shelves with my other games. But as you can see, the dance pad is in there. I think there's a manual in there as well, but I'm not going to show that here because I don't want to dig everything out. That microphone is one that you would use with a game like Mario Party 7. I don't have the big box version of Mario Party 7, but that would have been included. I think it comes with Odama as well. That's the box that comes with the Game Boy Player disc. I think there's normally a sleeve that goes over it, but I don't have it. And then the Game Boy Player itself. Moving on to the Wavebirds, here I have the kind of dull gray colored kind of default Wavebird and a Wi-Fi adapter there. But I also have the Platinum one, and you saw the dongle plugged into my Indigo GameCube there. That's the primary controller I use when I play GameCube. And then I have three variations of the wired GameCube controllers, the Indigo Black and the Spice Orange. There's a couple of other variants I'd like to get, but that's what I have. So that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this look into my GameCube collection as of this point in 2023. I know it's going to get bigger. I'm buying new games every day, and you know, when I'm done, I'll do another collection video so you can see the full collection. But if you liked what you saw, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos either about my collection or just the regular unboxing stuff that I do, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And again, thanks for watching.